What's up guys, Mike here, welcome back to Loki's Burden. Today I'm going to hit you with my Falcon and the Winter Soldier review. Gotta get that first shot up before that bullet hit me. So, the episode starts off, classic Marvel intro. We see Sam ironing his shirt, getting his suit on, getting ready. Looks like a funeral he's going to. We see him packing Cap's shield away in the old brown leather case that Cap actually gave it to him in the end of Endgame. Over this we hear the voiceover of the conversation Cap and Sam has at the end of Endgame when he says, you know, how does it feel? And Sam replies, it feels like someone else. And Cap says that it isn't. So that we're led to believe that Sam thinks it's Steve's shield, not his. But what if, with Cap living in an alternate reality, it is actually Sam's shield? Cap says to him, it isn't someone else's shield. Maybe it is Sam's shield from an alternate reality. Just a theory, let me know what you think. So now we cut to a mission Sam's on. Looks like he's a freelancer for the military. They seem to hire him whenever they want. A high-powered criminal organisation known as LAF have hijacked a plane, kidnapped an American captain, and they're trying to fly him into Libyan airspace. The military have called Sam in to try and rescue him. So Sam goes up, he enters the plane, takes out the bad guy. This is introduced George St. Pierre's return as George Batroc. Nice little action sequence, but classically, pilot takes a stray bullet, boom, plane's going down. I think the autopilot kicks in, so, you know, not too bad. During the scuffle, Sam takes a hit, knocks him down just long enough for the bad guys to put on wingsuits, tie up the hostages they've got, and jump out of the plane just as Sam comes to. Obviously, he's got wings and a jetpack, so he just follows them. Nice little action sequence in the air, some great stunt work, great camera work, well done guys. Lots of skydiving in between planes, some great stunt work, like I say. We get reintroduced to Sam's little robot thing. It's like his little R2 unit. Comes off his jetpack, comes off his wings, takes out some helicopters, missiles, machine guns, voice activated. Very cool. So yeah, after that sequence, it cuts to a Tunisian market where Sam's trying to fix his jetpack. He's met up with his man on the ground, Torres. He seems to want to help rewire his little thing for him, but Sam's like, whoa, back off. Every time Ops touches this thing, it gets all glitchy. Interesting. Also confirmed at this moment that it's been 6 months. Sam's been working with the military, so we know it's now at least 6 months after Endgame. So that puts this after WandaVision, but probably just before Spider-Man Far From Home. And yeah, it just seems a bit dodgy how Sam doesn't like the way that Ops are making his gear glitchy. So maybe he doesn't quite trust them. Yeah, so Torres seems to be Sam's liaison, his man on the ground, if you like. He's obviously a young guy, he's got his mobile phone in his hand, he's filming everything in the market. You know, some random dude comes up and, hey, Avengers! And Sam answers him in Arabic, which is Torres is, you know, he picks up on straight away, wow, this guy knows Arabic. Like, he's really keeping tabs, he's really noticing things. I'm not sure whether we can trust him yet. We'll wait and see. So in the scene, Torres confirms that LAF, they're a high-powered organisation, but they're basically just after money, using the, you know, old terrorist schemes, try and make a bit of dough. But he shows Sam a thing on his mobile phone, like AR, or augmented reality, is it? Which is like a red hand, which is the symbol for the Flag Smashers. Well, these are an organisation that have come up after the blip. They seem to enjoy the world with no borders, and that's their thing, the Flag Smashers. They want a world with no borders, no governments. So that must have been how it was in the blip. That's what that leads me to think. I don't know. So yeah, Sam tells Torres, keep an eye on it. You know, monitor the online chatter. This is when Torres starts asking questions about Steve, saying the internet thinks he's up on the moon, and that seems to be the conspiracy theory that everyone seems to have. Obviously, at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, we saw Nick Fury up in the space station with a load of Skrulls. So could be referencing that. That could be where Steve is. We know someone wants to talk to Monica Rambeau up there. Could that be Steve? Personally, I just thought the Avengers game on, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever. That's where, Steve was up in the space station there. I just thought it was an Easter egg for that. But so now we cut back to Sam with his suit on. This must have been what he was getting ready for at the beginning. He's given a memorial speech in Washington, D.C. Seems to be putting the Captain America to rest. He hands the shield back over. He gives a big speech about symbols are all very well and good, but they need the people to back them up. And seeing as Steve's gone, it's time to leave the shield to rest. So he meets up with Rhodey. They have a bit of a talk as they're wandering through the memorial exhibition. We've seen this before, as all the history of Captain America, Bucky Barnes, but now it's been updated with all the history of Infinity War, Endgame. There are plaques there explaining the enemy within, explaining how Hydra infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a picture of the Ep1 ship from New York. There's an ongoing scrolling list of the Vanished. So yeah, that's all been updated. So anyway, Rhodey and Sam are having a conversation. And this is where Rhodey asks him, why didn't you take up the mantle? So this kind of hints at it's been offered to him, or he would have been allowed to do that. But he said no, he still thinks it's Steve's shield, so he doesn't want it. And, why would you? You can fly. So Rhodey then explains how the world is different these days. Allies aren't allies anymore, old alliances are being torn up, so the world's a very different place. So maybe this hints at Rhodey thinks we still need heroes. So after this scene, cuts to a building, we see a load of guys walking around, some bodyguards. But then it turns out that the Winter Soldier just attacks these guys, takes out the bodyguards with ease, kills his target with the Hail Hydra, and then notices sort of a random guy trying to get into his hotel room nervously over in the corner, and just takes that guy out as well. But this is when he wakes up from a nightmare. It's a nightmare. So Bucky wakes up from a nightmare, and you can tell he's sleeping on the floor, which is again a callback to sort of how Sam and Steve bonded in Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Memories and experiences of old soldiers sleeping on a hard ground, and then they couldn't sleep in a bed. Felt like a marshmallow. So that's a callback to that. So then it cuts to Bucky in therapy. As you can imagine, he's not really into this. It doesn't go very well. But they do start making some headroom, I think. It's revealed that he's been given 3 rules to try and make amends. His therapist reveals that it's a condition of his pardon that the government need to know he's not gonna, which I'm assuming can only mean go on and kill. The first rule is he can't do anything illegal. The second rule, nobody gets hurt. Third rule is he has to make amends by coming clean. Now we see this in an interaction. So Bucky has tracked down a senator, a corrupt senator who was a Hydra lackey. He helped her get into power when he was the Winter Soldier, so now he's going to try and make amends. So he corners her, kind of takes their car under control, reveals himself, takes out the bodyguard of the senator. Don't know whether he breaks his arm but he punches him in the face, so not hurt someone. I'm not sure about that. Again, taking the car under control, that's probably illegal, so he's broken those 2 rules. But then he comes out with, I am no longer the Winter Soldier, I am James Bucky Barnes, you're part of my efforts to make amends. And then gives her this cheesy ass smile, which is really forced and awkward, and you can tell he's just not digging that at all. So yeah, we come back to the therapy, and it's kind of revealed that, he's alone. She asks for his phone, he's got less than 10 contacts, he's ignoring Sam's calls, and she explains to him how this can be dangerous. She understands, being an ex-soldier, that all the traumatic experiences you have, they're not good to deal with when you're alone. And she advises him to, get a life, reach out to people. She explains he's now free, and he's like, to do what? So yeah, looks like he's feeling a bit lost, very alone, doesn't know what to do with his life. It's also explained he spent 90 years going from one fight to the next. He hasn't known peace apart from the small respite in Wakanda. And that's what he wants. He just wants peace. So then it cuts away. Bucky's walking down the street. He meets up with like an old Japanese guy who's getting into a bit of an altercation with his neighbour. But this guy seems to be a friend. They go for lunch together. Bucky pays, so the old guy goes with him. But while they're there, this old guy manages to get him a date with the young lady behind the counter, which, good on him. Good work. But this old man, it's revealed later on, is actually the father of the random guy in the hotel that we saw in the earlier flashback stroke nightmare sequence. And yeah, Bucky's probably found him to try and explain what he did, but he just can't do it. Even though, the woman, whilst on the date, explains that this old man just wasn't the same again. He doesn't know what happened to his son. He can't get his head around it. But Bucky still can't bring himself to tell him. I'm not surprised. It's a bit awkward. So now we come back to Sam. He's visiting his sister and his nephews. It turns out that she's struggling financially and she wants to sell the family boat. The business is struggling. She tried getting loans. They won't. That didn't work. But Sam's like, no, come on, I'm here now. We can sort this out. We're not selling the boat. You've tied the house into the loans. It's our house. It's all half mine. We're going to sort this out. We're going to do this. She's not convinced that that's going to happen. And she's like, whoa, you haven't been around. You went away. That's fine. You did your thing. And now I'm doing my thing. So again, there's a bit of tension in between them. Like I say, she's trying to run the business, her business, but because she's tied the house and the boat, which is half his, he wants to get involved and try and help out. So there's a bit of tension there between them. Yeah, but Sam's convinced that now he's back, he's with her, he'll be able to help and they'll sort themselves out. So we cut back to Bucky. He turns up at the bar again for his date, which is kind of going okay. It's a little awkward, He says he's been online dating, and the way he talks about that obviously makes him sound old, because the lady's like, how old are you? You sound like my father. And he's like, 106. They both have a little bit of a laugh. Ha ha ha. Yeah, he is 106. She asks him why he wears gloves, and he's like, oh, I have poor circulation, so that must be to cover his false arm, his metal hand. So yeah, he still hasn't opened up about that. Yeah, so while they're during this gate, she's like, oh, let's play some games. So they end up playing battleships, and it cuts and she's just like staring at Bucky, and he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm reading your mind. Lady, that is not a place that you want to go. So even Bucky's like, please don't. We all know how he feels about mind control, people being in his head. Not a good place. But then the lady's talking about Yuri and how he hasn't been the same again since the passing of his son. And this is when we see Bucky go to the old man's house. He just gets up and leaves his date. Man, you ain't getting another day there. Just gets up, walks off, goes to see Yuri, who's, I think he's about to come clean. He was the one that killed his son. But then he sees a picture of him, and he's like, no. So he makes an excuse, oh, I owe you for lunch. And he does one, gets out of there. So now we cut to a nighttime scene. I think we're in Switzerland. We've got Torres again on his phone, following the Pokemon app for the Flag Smashers. Seems to be a lot of people turned up, hanging around. But yeah, Torres walks up to someone. He's like, "What are we supposed to do?" So it turns out that the Flag Smashers have organised a flash mob to help them get away with a robbery. They meet up with someone there. She opens a bag. Everyone puts on the same mask, and then the alarms go off. 2 bags come flying out the second story window, and some absolute meathead jumps out like superhero landing, picks up the bags. Everyone's going crazy now, running around. Some cops turn up, or security from the Swiss bank. Always dodgy, Swiss banks. So yeah, the guy hands off the money, and just starts to take out the security guards. Torres is following him. He tries to tell one of the guys, oh, he's over there, but because he's wearing a mask also, the guy tries to arrest him. He takes him down nice and swiftly. He's like, "Ooh, sorry." So he's trained. We know this. He's military. But yeah, but he gets his ass handed to him by this meathead. We see him sidekick someone who flies about 20 foot. If he's still alive, he's probably paralysed now. But this guy's obviously super strong. So why is he super strong? Super soldier serum? Is he an alien? Creator of Skull? Is he a mutant? Is he Mephisto? Oh my god! Who knows? But yeah, Torres, I think, approaches him, pulls his gun on him, gets his wrist broke, I think, and basically slammed to the floor and stomped on. Again, how he didn't die, I don't know, but he does get a broken orbital, as we learn later on. But yeah, so he tries to take him on, gets taken out, but the Flag Smashers get away. So after this scene, we now cut to Sam and his sister going to the bank, and the guy's like, "Do I know you? Do I know you?" And he's like, "Dunno. Do you know me?" He's like, "Oh yeah, Falcon, cool, yeah." And taking a selfie with him, the guy behind the bank's like, "Oh well, you know, your finances are messed up. What's going on here? You've got no income for the last 5 years." And Sam's like, "Well, yeah, I've been gone like billions of other people." But the bank don't, you know, they've changed their system since half the world's population just turned up again. So Sam's convinced he's going to get this loan. He's got a government contract. He does have income. But the bank's like, no, sorry. Things have had to tighten up. And this is where his sister cuts in with, "Yeah, it always seems to tighten up around us." So she's obviously feeling, you know, the racial slur there, or she's feeling the racial tension. I think it sounds a bit like, "Whoa, no, hang on, whoa." So yeah, they're both obviously distraught that they don't get the loan. They storm off. They have a bit of an argument. She's like, "Oh, you don't know what it was like when Dad passed away," and you know, Sam doesn't like that. Her throwing that back up into his face, but she's obviously dealt with a lot. She survived the snap. She brought up 2 young kids. She's kept the business and the house afloat for the last 5 years. So she's been struggling. But yeah, Sam's convinced that the bank would help him if he was there. But turns out, yeah, not so much. Not so much. So this is when Torres, he messages Sam. He explains, he shows him the video that he had on a body cam. And he says, you know, this is the leader of the Flag Smashers. Which I don't think he is. I think he's just, you know, hired muscle. Or maybe, you know, the main muscle of the group. But I don't think he's going to be the leader. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. It'll really help me out. So after this conversation, Sam's sister comes back in. She's like, "Oh man, you got to turn on the telly." So he does. There's a press conference. Now we see it's the same dude who we saw earlier in the episode where Sam was handing the shield back, and this gentleman turned around and said, "Oh, you know, you made the right decision. That's the right thing to do." But now he's on the steps giving a press conference saying, "Oh, you know, the world needs heroes. We need symbols. So our country needs a new hero." So he introduces this new Captain America. Dun dun dun. And Sam is gutted. In this moment you can just tell, "Oh, man, knew I shouldn't have done that." He knows he's fucked up. So that ends the episode. 42 and a half minutes or so. I hope these are going to get longer. We were promised 6-hour sort of episodes or 6-hour TV runs. I mean, 7 minutes of credits at the end of every episode. Yeah, I don't know. I just wish, you know, seems to be a bit of a thing with Disney Plus. Mandalorian was the same. You're lucky if you get much more than half an hour an episode. And yeah, they cost a lot of money to make. There's big budgets going into them. But come on, man, we want content. Half an hour a week. So my impressions of the first episode. I liked it. I loved it, in fact. Watched it with my wife and kid. Oh, they all liked it. I love the opening sequence, the action sequence at the start. I think beautifully shot. Great camera work. Awesome stunt work. Really sort of harks back to the old Iron Man sequences. The hood, or the way they've shot Sam flying with his wings, is, you know, a front-on shot, very reminiscent of Tony Stark in his hood. But yeah, I mean, it just highlights how effective Sam can be by himself. What a force the Falcon can be on his own, which I don't think was really highlighted in the MCU. He was a sidekick, a side character. Yes, effective, but he was never really given the moment to shine. But in this, especially in that opening sequence, he really did shine. It was nice. I also like the struggle that Bucky's going through. It's obvious he's struggling mentally. Yeah, I think Sebastian Stan's doing an awesome job. I think we're going to see much more of him coming into his own throughout the season. I think there'll be some good humour banter between the two when they actually meet up, because in this episode they're very separate entities. As I said earlier, it's revealed that James Bucky Barnes is just completely ignoring Sam's text, doesn't want anything to do with him. Yeah, they didn't really get on in Civil War, did they? So yeah, but I thought it was a pretty weak ending, really. Personally, I didn't really get much of an emotional response to the, oh look, a new Captain America. Yeah, we've seen it in the trailers, we knew it was coming. Sam's obviously good, it was probably meant for us all to feel that, oh, you fuckers. But nah, I don't know, I didn't really get it. Bit of a slow ending, I thought, bit of a weak ending. So what we get from that is, yeah, it definitely looks like, you know, the government, the man, definitely screwed Sam over. Yeah, you made the right decision by giving us the shield back, so we can give it to this white guy over here, who, you know, has probably signed the Sokovian Accords and is controllable. Well, he's probably a military man through and through, whereas, you know, Sam didn't sign the Sokovian Accords. He went on the run with Cap for a couple of years, bit of an outlaw. Yes, he's been pardoned because of, you know, his part in the saving of the world, or half the life in the universe. But, you know, I don't think they trust him, so they give it to someone else. Or could it just be the racial issue? I think that's how they want this to come across. Whether it will be or not, whether it will be revealed later on that there is a race issue or not, we'll have to wait and see future episodes. But I think that's kind of the way it's been portrayed. I mean, his sister's obviously feeling, you know, that aspect of it. So from her point of view, yeah, there's definitely issues there. So yeah, I mean, the biggest question for me is that Flag Smasher meathead guy. I mean, why is he so strong? Again, I think it's probably going to be Super Soldier Serum, but hey, could be mutants. Ooh. I think it's going to be Super Soldier Serum or some variant of it, a copy of it somehow. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you think he is? Do you think he's an alien? Do you think he's a mutant? Could be anything. So anyway, if you're still here, please smash the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. It really helped me out. I'm going to try and carve out a 4-hour window this week to do a Snyder Cut review, so come back for that. That should be up hopefully by the end of the week. What else have I got in my notes? If you're still there, smash the like button, consider subscribing to the channel. I really do want to try and build a community of nerds here, so we can all get together and enjoy these things together as a community. But until next time, farewell.